All right, so welcome,
Thank you.
Diana and Kenneth. Thanks for joining. Nice to have a session
Hmm.
today. Always, I do notice that if I don't have a session, it's nice to have 1 day break, but it's also nice to do them every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought let's just share my screen. Have a little look at today's quote. Maybe some of this reading, and then go into the lesson. That'll lead us nicely into the lesson, which is very short, just a review lesson. Then we can do a meditation, and that might take us an hour, and then we might be done.
Yeah. An hour, an
But
hour is an hour is per.
an hour is good. Yeah, I think the text is 9 paragraphs, so we won't venture into that this evening. So yeah, if you want to just have a read of the quote, I'll just
Sure.
make it a wee bit smaller, a wee bit
A
bigger.
wee bit bigger is always good.
125% is the
Excellent.
is the measure. Have a read of that, and then the first paragraph. Let me know
Yeah.
your thoughts after that.
Love is a medicine for the sickness of the world, a prescription often given, too rarely taken. Carl A. Menninger. In an age where medicine,
He's actually a psychiatrist.
pardon, he's a psychiatrist. Aha.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
enlightened psychiatrist. A lot of them wouldn't say that, but there's truth everywhere. It just shows you. Yeah,
In
sorry, I
a
interrupted you.
No, brother. In an age when medicine has become a religion that profoundly influences so many people's thoughts and actions, today's quote by an American psychiatrist gives an even more profound prescription that can heal all your sickness. The only question is, will you take it? Perhaps it's worth
Okay.
considering the alternatives briefly before you decide. On the one hand, sorry, Perhaps it's worth considering the alternatives briefly before you decide. On the one hand, you have the choice to believe in the religion of sickness that holds that disease is real and the cure is external to you in a drug, vaccine, operation, treatment, or magic remedy of some kind, usually prescribed to you by a doctor. Just pay your money, take the prescribed remedy or prophylactic, and you'll be fine, says the marketing for this system. Except that evidence shows that you won't be fine. While Western allopathic medicine is good at replacing body parts like hips and hearts, it has dismally failed to heal the so-called lifestyle diseases like heart disease, strokes, cancer, and diabetes that kill more people than ever today. Take cancer for an example. It was quite rare even a century ago, but according to the World Health Organization, killed 9.6 million globally in 2018, and probably far more that didn't make it into the statistics. Cancer is a disease in which dysfunctional cells in the body start multiplying exponentially, compromising the body's ability to continue functioning and ultimately living. Western medicine's approach to healing cancer is to kill the cancer cells through powerful chemicals and radiation, a process which also kills many healthy cells as collateral damage. But how can killing healthy living cells ever bring life? It's not surprising that so many people die of cancer once they start chemotherapy. The body dies from the toxicity of the chemicals before the cancer can kill it. Now, the
Any
same
thoughts
book
on that so far?
that it's counterintuitive,
Hmm.
that
How
it's
can you create life with death?
yeah, that
By
it's
killing something, how can that bring life? And generally, it doesn't. Occasionally, someone recovers, but I think the recovery rate from chemotherapy is something like 5% or less.
yeah,
That people actually make it. So 95% die, and they usually die of the toxicity caused by the chemo
yeah,
rather than
yeah,
from the cancer, because it's you're poisoning the body, so it weakens the body's immune system, if you keep
Yeah.
putting toxic chemicals into it. So it's really it's a barbaric thought system of attack and death. And then I just talk about it. And yeah, do you want to carry on?
Now, the same barbaric thought system of attack and death that spawned the cancer industry is being promoted in the form of a vaccine that's supposed to save lives from a set of symptoms that's been labeled COVID-19, is seldom fatal and the cause of which is unproven. This approach to saving people's lives led a young woman to collapse 3 days after taking a COVID vaccine in April, have fluid drained from her brain, and be hospitalized several times over the subsequent 6 months. The business partner, someone I met last month, went down, as he put it, 6 hours after having a COVID booster shot and was still sick a few weeks later when I spoke to him. These two cases of people.
Those are two cases I've personally met. People who knew these
Yeah.
these people that had these what's called iatrogenic reactions to
Yeah.
to the vaccine.
To what would be preventing, not causing harm. Yeah. So personally, I believe that the COVID-19 pandemic is a symptom of a sick society in which too many people are overstressed and not at ease with themselves or life, i.e. diseased by their own negative thoughts and emotions that manifest in the toxic modern lifestyle of hustle and bustle, in which we desperately seek, but never really find the fulfillment we yearn for. Given the dismal failure of Western medicine to cure the other so-called lifestyle diseases, why would anyone with common sense expect its approach to the COVID-19 pandemic to succeed? And yet hundreds of millions of people have taken their vaccines without questioning the spurious logic that underlies the medical system that sold the seeming solution to the pandemic to the public. It just goes to show that common sense is anything but common. And in fact, nonsense is much more prevalent. Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on any of this? I mean, it probably resonates with your own ideas, but anything you want to comment on or add or question?
No, it does resonate with my own thinking about systems in the world that are parasitic, is the word that comes to mind actually. And
it's supposed to be healing, but it's actually parasitic, which is completely the opposite of healing. Parasite actually destroys, ultimately sucks the life out of its host and destroys it. So
yeah,
that is not that's completely contradictory to the healing.
Yeah.
And so we have a system that is our healing system, and it's actually designed to extract maximum profit from people. It's become a profit making system, rather than this is all actually really about healing people in the most effective way, in the way that's going to really work, that's going to cause the least pain and suffering, that's going to cost the least money. It's become a system where, well, how much money can we make from our patients, and feed this system that's insatiable. I've seen it. I had some exposure to the medical system via a brief interaction with a psychiatrist. We were trying to bring meditation into the mental health care industry. Get some of the carers, people who worked in these clinics, to actually do meditation. We tried, but it failed. Needless to say, because they ultimately are not really open to an alternative approach. The approach is mainly drug based, and then there's a few do some group discussions and stuff, but no meditation. Extraordinary. when meditation / mindfulness has proved to be highly effective in treating conditions like depression and any kind of any mental illness. There's many studies, and yet they don't use it. Never mind for the, they should be using it for the patients, but the staff for sure, because it's an environment where there's often a lot of stress and strain on them. And so it became clear to me after that interaction that the system doesn't really want to change. And in fact, one of the heads of one of the major medical aids in South Africa, one of the biggest in the world actually, called Discovery Health, said to this psychiatrist friend at some point, he said, "Well, look, you got to understand the system is triple F." And he said, "Oh, what does that mean?" He said, "Well, it's fragmented, so everyone's, it's a fragmented, separated. There's no unity. Everyone's out for themselves. The medical aides are trying to make the most money. The psychiatrists are trying to make the most money. Doctors are trying to make the most money for themselves. So the second thing is fee for service. It's all about, how much we can get for our services. And the third one, excuse my French, but he said it's fucked. The whole system is a mess. It's dysfunctional. But we carry on in a mess system by his own admission. Oh well, we all make money from it. So let's carry on in a completely dysfunctional system. This comes from the head of a major institution in the system that is saying this. So there's a recognition that it is, and yet, well, because we're all making money, we're just going to continue with the dysfunctional system. So what's needed really is a systemic change. I'm going to show this. Diagram here. Course manual. So if you remember in the integral model, there's an interior quadrant, internal domain of consciousness, and then there's the exterior domain. So integral model, there we go. So individual interior, collective interior. So the systems are really a projection, reflection of what's going on internally. So the culture is to produce a system like this that is so dysfunctional. It means that there's a dysfunction in the thought system. And so what should be a healing system has got perverted, and the motives of profit, money, to feed the system have become dominant. So the system's no longer about healing. I'm not sure it ever was, but it's about profit orientation. How much money can we make? Not what's actually going to be effective healing. And so what's leading is the profit motive rather than the motive of actually healing. And any system with money as primary and healing is a very secondary place is clearly out of integrity to its true purpose. And we see that dysfunction in the way that it operates in the systems on the exterior level. So the only way to change that, you can't really fix a broken system. What you need to do is you need to change the interior collective. Okay, so what does the system really need to do? Well, it should really be a genuinely healing system that helps people in the most effective way to heal and is most cost effective. And then the system should be designed according to that intent, that purpose, which means that the entire system that we currently have would need to, a lot of it would just need to be done away with. I don't think certainly the mental health care system and the way that they're treating people with drugs to treat these lifestyle diseases, that is not the most effective way to deal with the problem by any means. So the entire system then needs to go, and you need to create a new system based on a true healing intent, which would be along the kinds of lines we've studied: mindfulness and going within, teaching people how to control their minds, using really effective and cheap techniques. Meditation, mindfulness. This is not expensive stuff to administer to people. So the profit motive then has to be secondary, because you're probably not going to make as much money. But then that's not what the purpose of the system is. The purpose should be primarily healing. So I believe in our lifetime it is happening slowly, but I believe the current system, medical system, as well as the various other systems that are tied in with it, I think they are going to fall, and we're gonna have to create new systems, which is quite exciting. If you're in the space of consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality, as we are, and then you also have some entrepreneurial inclinations, that creates a lot of opportunity to create an entirely new system. That's in true integrity to the real purpose, and you can make money from it, just not as much as the big pharmaceutical companies.
Become obscene. Such absolutely obscene, corrupt amounts of money.
Charge for for drugs that don't necessarily work. They're not really addressing the problem. They're just dealing with the symptoms, and yet
cause problem for which you need another drug to sort it out.
They have a license to sell these things. To people, and extortionate. I mean, the markups are ridiculous. How much money they're making on a tablet? If you think, some people are paying tens, maybe hundreds of pounds for one tablet. What's the cost to produce that? Probably a few pence, if that. They would say, we're recovering all of our R&D, but I mean, the profit margins are what, probably tens of thousands of percent. I mean, that's just like in any other industry. If you were trying to charge that, you'd be like, you can't do that. It's completely unethical. But with the drug industry, it seems to be okay. Anyway, so we could go on and on, but it's a good example, really, of how a system has come to be dysfunctional, because the purpose of that system is not true. It's not in integrity to what it should be doing. If it's a healing system, it should genuinely heal people. It shouldn't just be about making more money. And so this, to solve the problem, it's not just we'll just kind of rearrange the deck chairs on this, in this dysfunctional system. You actually need to do away with the whole system. Large parts of it. I mean, there are parts of Western allopathic medicine that do a good job. If you need a heart replacement, then great. Go have an operation, and that side of it works quite well. But the majority of it, which is drug based, really doesn't work well at all. It's proved to be highly ineffective. Logic is being applied with COVID-19. That we should all take imagine the prophylactic that's supposedly going to prevent the disease from happening, which has all these potential side effects that we're not really being told about. They don't tell you about, this is the possibility of an iatrogenic reaction, and if it happens, you've got no claim. Apparently these drug companies are immune. You can't sue them, because it's an experimental program. You have to kind of sign your rights away to actually sue. So I mean, just
I know it's corrupt. It's deeply immoral. I do find it emotive, because people I love have chosen this path, and it doesn't help me or them to get pulled into it on an emotional level. What's happened has happened, and we go on the best we can. But the immorality behind it, and the way that so many minds have been bent towards just the blind acceptance of it, is horrifying. So this is all to illustrate the craziness of the egoic mind that really screws up attack was saying, no, this is love.
Hmm.
And
This is
this
healing,
full
and
frontal,
it's telling you it's
this is
healing, but
healing.
it's actually attack in disguise.
Yeah, it's actually an
So it's not
enormous attack, an
healing.
outrageous attack.
Healing and attack, do not go hand in hand. They're opposite thought systems. So any system that purports to be a healing system and is actually based on a thought system of fear and attack is a complete deception, and it has no integrity to its stated purpose at all. It's a lie.
You said here that we get sick only because we're defending ourselves against our true identity as love.
Yeah, you skipped a couple. Do you want to go back to
okay.
Given the dismal failure? Did you read Given the Dismal Failure of Western Medicine?
Given the dismal failure of Western medicine to cure the other so-called lifestyle diseases, why would anyone with common sense expect its approach to COVID-19 pandemic to succeed? And yet hundreds of millions of people have taken their vaccines without questioning the spurious logic. I did read this. Yeah, I did read this. Under the medical system. I could go on for pages about the failings of the current medical system that is a dominant model for healthcare in modern society, but your time is short. I promise to be brief. Let's consider the alternative to this nonsensical system of sickness that passes for healing in an insane world. It rests on the spiritual foundation of eternal, unconditional love as the ultimate reality that transcends sickness of any kind. There is no order of difficulty in miracles because love doesn't obey the laws of sickness that govern this world and its sickness industry. So it can heal any sickness that is brought to it by exposing the sickness as false. We get sick only because we are defending ourselves against our true identity as love. Because sickness makes the body very real in your perception and affirms the seeming reality of death. It denies the truth that you are immortal spirit and not a body at all. In addition, as yet explains.
Just pause it there. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed. It's the basis of all that we've talked about in the last few months. That belief in sickness makes the body real and affirms the reality of death, where in true reality there is no body, there is no death. There's death of ego. The truth is that we are immortal spirit and not body at all. Yes, that makes sense.
So this is, the ego. What we can observe here is the ego in overdrive. You can look at the system and analyze it and go, okay, well, we can very clearly see, it's an egoic system by its results.
Yeah.
And really, what's happening is that everyone who believes in that system is being taught, being convinced by the ego, being the belief in separation, that they are a body. Body is real. Your identity is rooted in the body. The body can be attacked. The body can be hurt. The body can die. And the entire system is based on the seeming reality of sickness, suffering, and death. And so any truly healing approach cannot rest its entire thought system on the problem. It has to look to the solution for the answer. This is why the Western allopathic system ultimately is dysfunctional, because it's trying to solve the problem at the level of the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll acknowledge the reality of the body, we acknowledge the reality of sickness and suffering and death, and now we're going to try and ameliorate it. We're going to try and make it better. We're going to try and heal within this thought system, rather than really look to the ultimate cause of it, which is in the mind. The problem is we believe in the body and we believe in uh, the seeming conditions that affect the body, the sickness, and ultimately the death. And that's the real disease in the mind, is we're believing in a false identity. So any truly healing system has to come from the foundation of truth, in order to really be a healing system. So this, the approach to healing, if you understand this, coming from true purpose, would have to be very different. Any kind of system that you created would really have to be directed towards mind training, towards helping people to realize the truth of what's going on, and away from trying to fix the problem on the magic level. And certainly for the lifestyle diseases, that is really the only approach that makes sense. If you have a hip operation or something, you might say, okay, well, some mechanics going on. You need a new hip, replace the hip. It's a body part. Maybe that makes more sense. But if the problem is actually caused by the mind, these so-called lifestyle illnesses are really expressions of mental disorder in the person's mind. Then trying to fix it on that level never works. It just entrenches the problem. So we need a new approach, and really, A Course in Miracles offers us that approach. It says, okay, well, here's another way of looking at it, which he gives us in workbook lesson 135. Which simply says, in my defenselessness, my safety lies.
Yeah.
So if I defend myself, I'm attacked. That's another lesson. So if I defend myself, I'm attacked, and this applies to all of our systems, our medical system included. If I'm defending myself, if I'm taking things like vaccines to protect myself, then what I'm really saying is I'm attacked, and I'm believing in the reality of attack and fear and sickness and death. So it's a very profound lesson to actually apply this. People might say, well, how possible is that to apply? Because our entire system is based on the idea of defense. Well, yes. So I don't believe in that system. Put your faith in something else. Put your faith in the truth which lies within you, that there is a transcendent love beyond all of this. That's there. It's available. It's accessible to you. And if you really believe in that, then healing comes. You get directed to do what you need to do. Maybe you don't need to do anything. Maybe miraculous healing just comes, as it did with, say, Anita Mojani. Like serious cancer. That's she's on death's door, and because she's had a change in mind, that just rewires her whole body, and the cancer disappears, and nothing else was required.
Yeah.
There's no other treatment than what happened to her on a mind level. So that's a demonstration that this is possible. We can actually have profound, if you really change your mind, you can have profound shifts in the body as well. So planning is also a defense against the truth. Maybe you want to read that.
In
addition, yeah, Yeshua explains.
In addition, as Yeshua explains in Workbook Lesson 135 that we're reviewing today, planning is also a defense against the truth because it makes fear and the future real in your mind and takes your attention out of the now, which is the only time there really is. Therefore, if you're planning to use defenses against possible sickness, this is what vaccines are. You're being doubly defensive against the truth by making both sickness and fear of the future real in your mind. Since the future doesn't exist because it's always the present moment, you are binding your mind to an illusion that will cause you to perpetually desire something other than what you have right now, and fear that you won't get it or that your life situation will change for the worse. Yeah.
So really, what you're doing, this is the insidiousness of the ego. You believe in, say, a defense like a vaccine. Really, you're buying into an entire thought system. You're binding your mind into this egoic thought system that makes the future real, that makes fear real, that makes defenses real. And if you do it once, then you're likely to do it again and again and again, because you think, well, this is actually keeping me safe.
Yeah.
In truth, you're actually perpetuating the entire thought system of something external to you that can apparently hurt you and attack you. And then by definition, if you're defending against it, you're fearing it. So you're making it real in your mind. So it's insidious. This is what's actually going on. Beyond the, okay, yes, the medical system's making money, and beyond this, you look to the very core of the ego. You see, well, it's the very heart of the system. It's trying to convince people that they're a body and they're not a mind, and that defense is justified, and this is going to keep them safe. And that's just a total self-deception, because it's not true. In fact, your defensiveness perpetuates the thought system of fear and attack, and that is most unsafe. If you believe in fear and attack, you're never going to find safety. And no amount of magic solutions in the world can possibly keep you safe from your own fear.
Yeah.
So it's a solution on another level that Yeshua is asking us to just change our belief system 180 degrees and reject all these defenses that we've been brought up with. We've been brought up with this medical system. Or take this, do that to protect yourself. It's kind of entrenched in our Western culture. And he's saying, just no, look on it and see what's actually at the core of it, and be willing to let it go entirely and not believe in it, and trust. Put all your faith in God means your true mind can sort out any problem if you really heal it where at the level of the problem, which is in the mind. Then whatever's happening on the physical level will simply disappear, because it's a projection of the mind. Okay, carry on. Either fear of not having your expectations met.
Either fear of not having your expectations met, or outright aversion to an imagined outcome will disturb your peace and stop you from being aware of perfect love. To revisit the example of vaccinations I gave earlier, your desire to avoid getting COVID-19 and for life to go back to normal, based on the assumption that your past pre-COVID life was normal and more desirable than the life you're having now, as well as your fear of getting sick and what people may think of you if you don't have a vaccine, may motivate you to get the jab.
If you look at people's motivations, it's, oh, well, I'll just have it and then things will be normal again. Because if I have it, then, they'll lift the restrictions, life will go back to normal. Or maybe it's fear of getting sick themselves. And then there's also the guilt. Well, what will people think of me if I don't have it? I'm kind of letting the team down.
Yeah.
But you've got emotions there of desire, fear, and guilt that are really the engine room of the ego.
Yeah.
And all of this just keeps your mind trapped on the timeline of a human life.
Yeah.
In a constant cycle of unfulfilled expectations, fear that they won't be met, aversion. It's also known as resistance. Whenever you go, oh, I don't want to get sick, that's an aversion reaction. That's resistance to an imagined outcome. And then grievances, when all your expectations are inevitably not met. It's impossible for all of your expectations to be met perfectly, which is, then disturbs our peace and happiness. And so the Buddha noticed this 2,500 years ago, and noted that really what underlies people's unhappiness, dukkha as he called it, this dissatisfaction of life, is desire or craving. You desire something to be other than what it is right now, or your aversion. Aversion is a form of desire, because you're saying, well, I don't want that. That's an aversion reaction. I don't want that. Rather than, I do want something. But it's all really saying that you'd be better off in some other state than what you are now. Yeah. And that denies the truth of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is always here right now. So you're subtly denying that and saying, I'm not that. Desire says I'm not that right now, and I imagine that some future in some future state or condition, that I'll be in a better state. I'll be happier. But subtly you're denying the truth that you are okay now. You're actually perfect, whole, and complete now through this thought system of desire and fear, which sabotages your awareness blocks your awareness of perfect love. So it's very subtle, but we need to really look at it and see that this is actually systemically what the system is trying to get us to do. By believing in the system, we're believing in these false beliefs and thoughts, which just block the awareness of perfect love. And that's really all the ego is ever trying to do, is sponsor a thought system that's going to block that and keep us locked into time and space, trying to always find the solution on the external, on the exterior, in the imagined world we've invented, and never really recognizing that we are mind. We are pure mind and only mind, and all power lies there. It never wants you to see that. So the entire system on the external is just there as a defense mechanism to prevent us from really seeing the truth. And that kind of puts a different spin on it. If you really look at it and you say, well, this is an egoic system designed to prevent me from awakening spiritually to the truth of who I am. And that's really all the system is at its core, it's designed to do. You kind of strip away any anger about the profiteering motive and you just go, well, it's just the ego trying to convince me that the system is real and that the truth is not. And if I can see through that, then I can prick the whole bubble and just go, I don't have to believe in this dysfunctional system. It's a false thought system. It's a product of a false thought system in any way, shape, or form. I can let it all go and I can be free in my mind. Even though the system continues on the level of form, you're not bound by it because you've just transcended it. So remember, what you resist persists. If you keep resisting it and you keep judging it as bad and evil, then you keep making it real, and you're not in pure formless awareness. You're still in the ego.
True. That's good to remember.
Okay. Yeah. It's just it's all a lesson. Really, all you've got to do is change your mind about it. That's what's primary.
Okay.
In terms of actually changing the system, well, change, wouldn't it? It would have to change because it's simply not true, and a lot of people recognizing that would then create a systemic change in the external.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to read No Wonder the Buddha?
No wonder the Buddha stated in the second noble truth that desire or craving is the source of all suffering. Yeshua also tells us in A Course in Miracles that we must let go of our idle wishes or cravings and the guilt and fear that inevitably accompany these, which are the foundation of our dream of being human and must be let go of, as if we are to rise above the battleground of this world, as he puts it, transcend the linear timeline that is seemingly our human life, and experience love, peace, and joy of eternal life itself. But to return to the main theme of today's teaching, what evidence is there that love actually works to heal diseases, you may well ask? There have been thousands of cases of people who have healed miraculously for no reason the medical system can explain, but I'll mention just one extreme example, again being the case of Anita Moorjani. In case you're not familiar with her story, Anita had advanced so-called terminal cancer that had ravaged her body to the point where many of her organs failed. She slipped into a coma and experienced what she described as expanded awareness of her surroundings, including conversations happening elsewhere in the hospital, and blissful peace and joy. Then chose, on the advice of her dead father and best friend to whom she had talked while she was in this superconscious state, to return her awareness to her body after 30 hours in a coma and to live her life fearlessly from that moment onwards. After this near-death experience, NDE, her tumors shrank by about 70% within 4 days, and within 5 weeks, she was completely free of cancer and released from hospital. Anita's doctors couldn't explain why this happened, because the belief in separation's thought system on which modern allopathic medicine is based doesn't acknowledge the healing power of a transcendent love that is not of this world. In fact, her oncologist claimed that it was her chemotherapy that somehow kicked in to save her after her organs had failed. And he'd written her
And he'd
off.
written her off.
How
I mean, you just go,
desperate.
like really? You think we're going to believe that?
Wow.
So she's an organ failure. They're going, look, you know, she's out of here. So her
What
family
year?
say your goodbyes. And they say,
Yeah.
oh no, well, no, actually chemotherapy can work in an advanced stage. Right, organ failure, really. So
Yeah.
it hasn't worked up till now. The organs fail, and now suddenly, miraculously, the chemo is kicking in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly ridiculous, isn't it?
That is ridiculous. It's laughable.
Like,
What
it
year
is
did
laughable.
this happen?
2006.
Wow.
She for 4 years leading up, and then her actual near-death experience happened
In
in
2000.
2006, and then I think she took a few years to kind of process it, and she wrote a book
Yeah.
for the next course of the next few years, and it was published in 2012.
Yeah.
Dying to Be Me.
Dying to Be Me.
And then her message started, getting out and
Yeah.
into the world. But I mean, it's apparently no one has ever come back from that serious cancer. Like when your organs are shutting down, that's it. Like no one's ever come back from that because you're on the brink of death.
Yeah.
Yet her body regenerated
Mm.
from that when the doctors are gone, look, there's absolutely no way. She's out of here. Say your goodbyes. So, and the near-death experience was clearly then causative. And yet they still deny it. They go, oh, it's the chemo that somehow now kicked in. I mean, it's just ludicrous when you look at it. But that's the level of defensiveness against the truth, that there is a deeper truth. There's a transcendent dimension to reality that she accessed. She went, and that is what healed her. Her mind completely changed in those 30 hours when she was in a coma. She said her entire thought system changed. It completely changed her perspective on the world and what the world was about. She suddenly saw truly what her life was about. She saw why she got sick. She made a conscious choice, with the help of her father, to come back and to live her life fearlessly from that point. She was very clear that this thought system of fear that had dominated her mind for so many years, and it caused her cancer, was not something she could believe in anymore. And so because she had such a profound rewiring on the internal level, that 30 hours of just really accessing pure formless awareness, seeing the truth that lay behind the illusion, that now rewired her entire body. Her body couldn't maintain the cancer because her entire mind had just been reset into the truth, and so then the cancer had to go because it no longer fitted with her interior domain. Her interior domain was love, light, peace, and joy, and the cancer was related to a previous mental and emotional condition that wasn't there anymore. So then, because the mind is primary, that changes the body, and then all of the biochemical processes in the body start rewiring and reconfiguring in pretty short order. I mean, 5 weeks is not a long time for such a profound transformation to happen. So it shows you the power. Really, it's a demonstration of the miraculous power of the mind to really completely transform the body in a very short time. And that no amount of magic that the ego can invent could do that. It's just not possible within the ego's thought system for that to happen, which is why the oncologist say, oh, no, it's the chemo, because he couldn't accept that there's some other power that's beyond him and beyond his control to heal people, because it threatens the entire system of chemotherapy. Well, if there's another way, then why would we bother with chemo when this kind of power is accessible? If people could access it consistently, you wouldn't need the drugs, you wouldn't need the treatment. This is much more powerful. So just defending a dysfunctional system, it clearly cannot work on this level. And people might say, oh well, she's 1 in a million. This doesn't happen very often, and that's true. But there's no reason it couldn't happen. If people will actually train to go into their mind, to do the healing, to access this same transcendent domain that Anita accessed, they wouldn't necessarily need to die to do it. You can access it in meditation. You can access it through spiritual practices. Then the healing can happen. Maybe not quite as miraculous as hers. She had a very powerful experience of it. But if you systematically and progressively help people to access this other domain, it's logical then that these kinds of the effects of the unconscious thought system of the ego would start to clear up. So it's a direct challenge to the entire medical system. It really has denied this. What the medical system has done is denied the power of mind. They've really said that you don't have a mind. You're actually a body. Even the mental health care system, there's some acknowledgement, okay, there's some kind of internal domain, but the approach to dealing with it is an exterior one. Oh, we're going to deal with it through drugs. So the drugs now change the mind. It's all chemical. Your mind, your thoughts and emotions are a product of your chemistry, biochemistry. So we're going to change the chemistry through drugs, and that's now going to change the mind. So primary causative is still the exterior domain. So you can see how just having a false thought system profoundly influences these systems, the way we actually try and treat people, and the effectiveness of that treatment profoundly. And just changing your mind and returning it to truth then does the same. It'll profoundly change the way that behavior and on a collective level the systems are going to work. And so people go, well, what does this matter? It's just a belief. But belief is enormous. Belief is enormously powerful. This creates the behavior and the systems in the world, the manifest world as we see it. And this is the only way you're really going to change that exterior world, is through a change of mind, be the change you want to see in the world. And Geshe says in the course, he says, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. Because then you're returning the power back to your mind, to the interior domain, and removing it from the exterior. As long as you're trying to change the world, you're still believing in an exterior world. Change your mind about the world. You're believing in the primary reality of the mind, the interior domain, and then the exterior follows. It just happens because you've changed your mind, and mind is causative. Mind creates the exterior domains. So a very, very different way of thinking, a different system would come out of it. And you start off the correction by simply looking at the old system, which we've done in some detail tonight, and going, well, this is totally dysfunctional, and this is why. This is why it doesn't work, because the beliefs that drive it are false. And so then you can replace those beliefs with true beliefs, and that's the start of actually changing the system.
I'm getting seriously tired, and it's after 11. I've been up since 5:30. So
yeah. Okay, so we've done that. Well done. So let's have a quick look at the lesson. It's just a short review lesson, and then we'll do a meditation, shall we?
Yeah, okay. My mind holds only what I think with God, pure formless awareness of perfect love. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth.
Okay, so any thoughts on those two key ideas?
If I defend myself, I believe that I am a body. I am vulnerable. I am not holding in my mind only what I think with God. I'm relying on my own strength. If my body is sick, it's the I'm defending against the mind of God. Mm-hmm.
Defend myself, I'm attacked. Sickness is a defense. Sickness is a defense against the truth. So then he's giving a specific instance of how we defend against the truth. Sickness is a defense against the truth. We're defending against the truth that we are one, we are spirit, we are eternal, immortal spirit, mind only, not a body. And sickness is just a defense against that transcendent truth. Mm-hmm. And if we recognize it as such, it puts sickness in an entirely different light, doesn't it? You go, okay, well, I then see the purpose of it. I'm seeing beyond the veil of illusion to the real purpose for sickness. And then I can heal it. Okay, it's just a defense against the truth. Well, all I've got to do is accept the truth and stop defending against the truth. Let my mind accept the truth, and healing will come. Yeah. So simple, but it requires we really be honest and really look beyond the surface level and look at our minds. This is what Yeshua is always doing, is pointing us to our minds and saying, well, what do you believe? Because that's really the cause of your sickness, of any problems you have in this world. It's your belief system. So let's address it there primarily, and if you do that, then very likely the sickness on the physical level is going to go away because the cause is gone. So that's the true approach to healing. Okay, so we go into a meditation.
Yeah.
Cool. So just do 10 minutes or so. So just making yourself comfortable. Sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale, smile, scan your mind, so looking at any thoughts, any emotions, any physical sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way, shape or form. And I'm willing to just let it go. Exhale. Release, let it go with the help of your breath. Breathing it all out to the nothingness that it really is. Going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in peace and truth. If there's any kind of sickness going on in your mind, are there any other defenses like planning? You like to plan to make yourself safe And just observe these thoughts and emotions and be willing to release them. There's no real point to them. You can just remind yourself that if I defend myself, I am attacked. I'm saying I'm attacked. And that any sickness that I believe in is just a defense against the truth. The truth is that the mind holds only what I think with God. The mind holds only what I think with perfect love, pure formless awareness of perfect love. So exhale the truth of that. The mind holds only what I think with perfect love. And you just sink into that awareness. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, and nothing else to think about. And just breathe, relax, and be still. Sinking into the awareness of perfect love, the pure formless awareness of perfect love, beyond all illusions, defensiveness, sickness, suffering, pain and death, lies this transcendent reality, the truth of who you really are. And just sink into this reality for a couple of minutes of deep silence. Any thoughts come to mind not in accord with your forms of oneness of perfect love, remind yourself that my mind holds only what I think. With this awareness, it's pure formless awareness of perfect love. My mind holds only what I think with this awareness. And you exhale out, just let it all go. The breeze of your breath. Going, gone. One stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you'll just rest. The peace and the stillness, and the deep silence of the pure formless awareness, perfect love. In a couple of minutes, just abide there, perfect peace and safety. Next 2 minutes of deep silence. And so just come back gently to an awareness of the body and the breath, senses in the world. Count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind briefly. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, sensations in the body going on. Remind yourself, my mind holds only what I think with God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love. And exhale, blowing it all away. Whatever's seemingly obscuring that awareness. Clouds just departing. No substance cannot obscure the eternal truth, which is the pure formless awareness. The blue sky is the pure formless awareness, and perfect love is the light that shines through it. So just rest in that for a few moments at the bottom of the exhale. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling, your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Breathe that in, notice any smell. And just stay rooted in the present. This pure formless awareness underlies all your sense perceptions. It's just always there, always you're formlessly aware. Always peaceful, calm and centered. So anchor this calm, centered, peaceful state in for the rest of the evening. Carry it with you into your sleep and on into tomorrow, to the rest of the week. So it is said, so it is done. Now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around, observe various objects in the room around you. With detachment, so underlying all these sensory objects is just pure formless awareness. You get rooted in that. It doesn't matter what you see. This awareness is still there. It's still the same. So notice that this awareness is there. It's the same underlying peace. Underlies all of your sense perceptions, and just set the intention to stay in this awareness for the rest of the evening and on into your week. So it is said, and so it is done. And that brings us to the end of the meditation and tonight's session. So thank you, Iona. Enjoyed that, and hopefully see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Jonah. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Namaste.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Good night.
Join us tomorrow afternoon if you can.
Thank you. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.